Are we filming right now? Okay, I'm not sure. I just got put on the spot, but there's nothing bad that can ever be said about a man named Fred Taylor, and only great things. Fred, you're my hero. You're many people's hero, and we know that you've added so much to all of our lives and to people who never know your name. You made their lives better for the music and for your love and for your passion and for those who you led the way to. So happy 20th of your 70th, and look forward to the 40th of your 70th. Love you.
And I was just telling Sue this really, how it all happened, how I met you 55 years ago. And what happened is I went to the jazz workshop on a date. I absolutely fell in love with the environment, the music, the lighting, the photographs, the people, the smoke, the drug addicts, the pimps, the hookers. I just couldn't believe that there was a world out there like that. So anyway, I went up to the manager, who was Vardy Haratunian at the time, and I said, hi. I said, my name is Sherry Smith. I absolutely love this place, and I have to work here. And he said, are you 21? I said, no. I said, but I turned 21 next year or something. And he said, write down your name, your birthday, your telephone number. So he called me the night of my birthday and said, called me the night before my birthday, said, can you work tomorrow night? Mose Allison is coming in. So that was the start of like this sensational run as a waitress at the Jazz Workshop and subbing at Paul's Mall. It was, one of the highlights of my life, and you are in huge part responsible for that. What you've done for jazz and for music in general and for the community is extraordinary, exceptional, and magnificent, and lucky us to know you.
No, it's not how I look, it's what I say, right? I'm Carolyn. I'm one of, affectionately known as one of Fred's girls. Worked for him twice. Once when he was just producing, that's hilarious. And the second time when he had the theater with Harold. And I remember Freddie coming into the office to start his day at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. and I had opened the office in the morning, and I was like really ready to go. But Freddie played the market. He floated for years all his businesses on the market. So when the market closed, now I realize why he came in at 5 o'clock. And he'd have his little book, his little tiny notebook, and his little tiny golf pencil in his left-hand pocket. And this was, he'd take it out of his pocket, and this was his agenda, the work agenda for the day. I mean, beyond unique. And he was floating all these enormous boats all the time like that. I mean, what a guy. Happy birthday, Freddie. We love you madly.
Stories about Fred. Say your name. I'm Betty Fulton. When I first met Fred, I was working for Don Law, who was a pop music promoter, and Fred was getting ready to do Miles Davis at the most improbable place, Kicks, in Kenmore Square. And he called me up and he said, you have to come to this. You have to come and see this guy. And I'd never heard of Miles Davis, so Fred was responsible for me ever hearing Miles Davis. So I went, and that was awesome, and that began our relationship, and I've known Fred for probably 40 years almost. And my other story about Fred has to do with the stuff that he collects. I went and saw him after my ballet class, I don't know, probably in the early 80s, and I had my ballet slippers there, and I went to his office and just said hello and inadvertently left my slippers there. They were never seen again. I called him the very next day, and he had no idea where they were. So anyway, those ballet slippers I think may emerge. I mean, who knows? But anyway, those are my two Fred stories. Love Fred to death.
Now.
I'm Valerie Markley. I worked for Fred on and off for 20 years, I guess, and remained friends with him, as everybody has. I was the person that cleared out his Boylston Street office, and I was so impressed because I saw Duke Ellington, Richard Pryor, whomever he did over the years, and I swear I remember ballet slippers.
You're kidding me!
I swear I remember them.
I knew they were there. Fred swore they weren't, but I knew they were.
But I want to tell a story about my Fred, and how Fred is so expressive without words. So you ask Fred, do you want to go to a party with 300 freshmen at BU? And Fred goes, it's just volumes. Okay. Now I'm in the Panama Canal Zone in the gift shop. I'm looking at the gifts, and behind me I hear, ooh, ooh. And that is another one of Fred's full of meaning noises that he makes. I turn around and there's Fred Taylor in the Panama Canal Zone.
I think it was back in 1970. I just started working for WBUR, and somebody had told me, oh, you know, you can get a press pass to go to the jazz workshop. So they said, here, call Fred Taylor up and go to his office. Now, you know, I heard all these stories about promoters and club owners, how they were all gangsters, and you know, so I was like nervous about going to see Fred. And then I went into his office. First of all, he was the nicest guy in the world. And then I went in his office. He had pictures of all kinds of people. I mean, it was just fascinating. His office, of course, like his place now, so I'm told, still has stacks of papers and all kinds of things everywhere. But he had always, which is very nice. One of the first times I came to the club, after meeting him, he walked up to me, and I don't know how well he knew who I was or not. He said, Eric, would you like to interview Charlie Hayden? And I'm like, yeah. And then I think he arranged for me to, I believe, interview Horace Silver, right? And like I said, I don't really know how well he knew me, but I mean, it was just the way he acts, the way he is. If you know Fred, that doesn't surprise you. If you don't know Fred, you might think, oh, really? That's the way this guy acts? But that's just the way Fred is. I remember when he sponsored a trip to the Montreux Jazz Festival in 1973. And we went with WBCN on the trip. And I remember I'm walking in some small village in France, and all of a sudden I hear, Eric! Eric! And I look over, and Fred had gotten to the village before we did. I'm wondering, who the heck is this calling me in this village in France? And it was Fred too. So, I mean, just through the years, Fred has just always been wonderful to work with, wonderful to deal with. He's always got a smile whenever you see him, too. Great man, love him.
I met Fred because he was tasteful. He had so little taste that he booked me at both the Jazz Workshop and Paul's Ball. I mean, I couldn't believe it. My band was awful. I'm off. I still can't even play music. But Fred Taylor had faith in me, and he booked me at these nightclubs. And it turned out he was the greatest nightclub owner I ever met in my life. He was a wonderful guy to hang with. And the thing about Fred is that he got music. He understood music. He understood the temperaments of a jazz musician, a blues musician. He knew what was hot. He knew what was bookable. He had an intuitive sense, more so than anybody I've ever met in this business. He had an intuitive sense about what great music was and what music would really touch people's heart and soul. So I met him back in those days. And then
This is Ellyn Ball. the time that we went down to Newport was one occasion that I remember, and I'm just a bad passenger anyway because I like to drive. My foot is always on the brake or the gas. Anyway, so we're going down there, and Fred's doing his usual, Mr. Magoo thing, and we get down, and he takes this sharp left, and I said, where the hell are we going? And he said, I know a shortcut, and I thought, oy vey, we'll never make it. And we're going along. We're going through fields of corn and all sorts of stuff, and we get way out into the country, and I'm thinking, we're not even in Rhode Island anymore at this point. And then, right when I think, all right, I'm going to jump, we come to an intersection that I recognize, and in fact, it had been a complete shortcut. And Fred leaned over and gave me the biggest shit-eating grin, like that. That was my best Fred story.
I would never have met Fred without Sue. True story, right?
That's how it happened.
You got any funny stories, Mark?
Oh boy.
No, I don't have any funny stories.
Oh, I bet you have a bunch of them.
But
Nina Simone, maybe.
no. Well, that was
Nina Simone and the bag of cash.
That's not exactly funny. That's kind of.
that was an adventure.
Yeah.
For the uninitiated hotel guy who had no clue, that was a great adventure.
Yeah. I was talking about food. So we had started a little bit, and then I said, we have got to have a dinner show package. And I said, and I think you could start at 1995. Oh no, we can't do anything like that. So I said, would you come up with me upstairs to the club area, the elevator's out, and there's a sign right over. Dinner special, 6 o'clock, 1995. I said, that's your dinner show special. Oh, and that's how we started the damn goddamn dinner show packages.
Say that again.
Okay, I met Fred when I was 15 years old. I was a student at Berkeley. He doesn't remember that, but he does remember that I worked for him as a cocktail waitress at Paul's Mall when I was 24. So we're going back to the 1960s. We've been friends ever since, and to know him is to love him. I'm thrilled to death to be here. Funny, Fred and I both love Mel Brooks and the 2,000-Year-Old Man, so he and I have memorized all that. And as soon as we get an audience, we start doing shtick. And I asked him if he's ever been married, and he said, I've been married several hundred times. And I asked him if he has any children. He says, I have over 42,000 children, and not one comes to visit me.
Freddie was Carmen's favorite promoter, producer ever. And there were only two in the world that she liked. Freddie Taylor and a gentleman in Japan named Takao Ishizuka, who's another veteran. I think Roberta Gambarini, who I just worked with Takao in Japan last month, and Takao, I believe, is 88, if he's telling the truth. And Freddie Taylor and Takao Ishizuka were Carmen McRae's favorite promoters in the entire world.
Is that the camera?
Say your name.
Hi, this is Harry King, and I remember 25 at least years ago, and one of the early times I met Fred was at a dinner party with a bunch of other people, and he did his famous spoon on the nose trick and brought down the house. It was not the only time he did it, I'm sure, but he brought down the house.